Process of life change is start somewhere. And it doesn't even matter where. You can start with good health or you can start with something else. The key is to start by saying, I'm going to start the process in each category of finding. Possibly hope for. To give you every dream and every treasure you could possibly want for you and your family and the people you care most about. It's all available. But it is a very basic, simple process. Once you've found the few things, spend most of your time and money working on those few things. Okay, we call these basics. Basics. Fundamentals, another good word. If you're going to play football, you got to learn the fundamentals. And there's about how many? There's about a half a dozen, right? That'll make you good at it. If you practice those half a dozen, a few other things, yes, but the half a dozen are what's important to lay the groundwork. Basics, fundamentals. Now let's talk about the fundamentals of life. Let me give you this little series to jot down. Number one, fundamentals of life. Number one, there's just a few. There's just a few fundamentals of life. About a half a dozen. Fundamentals of life, there's just a few. Here's number two. Once you know them, you know them. I mean, there's nothing difficult here. It's pretty easy to figure out why people are broke, and it's pretty easy to figure out how people get rich. It's no big deal. Fundamentals of life. Number one, there's just a few. Number two, once you know them, you know them. Now here's number three. There's no new ones. Written history's what? About 6,000 years. There's nothing new here. Now, there might be a new way to say it. There might be a new way to apply it to the 20th century, getting ready for century 21. But this stuff is basic, it's old, it's fundamental. So be aware of somebody who comes along and says, we got new truth. Say, no, you can't have new truth. Truth is old. So be a little suspicious. If a guy says, we're manufacturing antiques, you got to come watch our plant. Wouldn't you be a little suspicious? You say, no, you can't manufacture antiques. Antiques are what? Old. So antiques are like... isn't too high. But back then, that was the convenient excuse for me. I used to blame my negative relatives. They were always putting me down. My cynical neighbors won't loan me money. They were on my list. I used to blame the weather. I blamed the traffic. I blame circumstances. This happens to me, and this happens to me, and then on top of that, this happens to me. And they expect you to do well by your family. All of these things I thought were the reasons why I was not doing well. Then I found out all of that was not true. Here's what I discovered that changed my life forever. Everything that happens outside of us is like the wind that blows. We've heard about the winds of economics, the winds of change, the winds of circumstance, the winds that are favorable and the winds that are unfavorable. The wind is always blowing. Truth be known, though, in America, we've probably got the best wind that's blown in 6,000 years, mixing it all together. And we all need a wind of all of this stuff happening to take us somewhere, to the dreams we've got, to the money we want, to the equities we want, to the treasures we want. what we want for our family, friends, and all the rest. Here's what we want. We've got the best wind in 6,000 years to take us there. But here's the clue. If you just let the wind blow, you won't be happy with your arrival. You won't be happy with where it blows you. You won't be happy with where it takes you. You say, well, what can you do about the blowing of the wind? Well, you can't do anything about the blowing of the wind except set a better sail. So draw you a little sail on your notes and take that home as a centerpiece of what I've shared with you this whole day. You cannot change the blowing of the wind, but you can change the set of the sail. That's why education is so important, to help you with ideas. It helps to alter a little bit the set of the sail. That's what the sermon is for on Sunday morning. That's what the lyrics of the song that prompt you to think are for. That's what the dialogue of the movie is for. That's what conversation is for. That's what education is for. That's what satellite is for. That's what a stream of ideas are for, to help you adjust and keep adjusting all of your life the set of the sail. Then I found out if you went to work on this in a concentrated way, you could so alter the course of your life that the outcome in a fairly short period of time would be absolutely almost overwhelming. For your money, for your health, for your relationship with your family, for equities of all kinds, business, whatever. Wouldn't matter. And you could finally set such a sail that after a while, you could care less anymore about the wind that blows. Why? It's not going to matter to you because you've learned how to set the sail. And interestingly enough, the same wind that blows others to disaster, blows others on the rocks, blows others on the beach, blows others to places they don't want to be. The same wind takes us to prosperity, takes us to all the dreams we've got and the things we want. Why? Because we've learned to intervene and set sail. That's the key. And that's why I lecture. That's why I speak. That's why I talk. That's why I talk to my children. That's why I talk to my grandchildren. That's why I talk to every ear I can get attention from. And that is, listen to ideas, whether they come from me or from someone else. Be a collector of good ideas. Get more serious about altering the course of your life. Right? Being broke is bad, but being stupid's what's bad. Got to have the information. Now, where do we get ideas and information? We've got this marvelous ability here, like no other life form on earth has, to alter the course of our life. You don't have to keep flying south. If south is not getting you the money and the joy and the pleasure, I'm telling you, you can alter the course. You're not like just a blind animal that has to be driven by instinct and the genetic code. So, if we want to change our life, we just got to use this marvelous mechanism to gather more ideas and information and see if it'll pay off for us. So where do we get this? Jot this down. Number one, from PE, I call it personal experience. Just make it a point. Log the questions from your personal experience. Log the answers from your personal experience. Right? Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. And here's where it can all start. Paying more attention to your own personal experience. One way to learn to do it right is what? Do it wrong. It's one way to learn. Now the key is, don't let it take too long. If you've done it wrong for 10 years, we suggest that's long enough. We don't suggest 10 more years just to prove a point. No. You can prove any point in 10 years. In 10 years, your health disciplines will be on track or what? Off track. Your financial independence will be on track or off track. It doesn't take that long to come to the conclusion based on your own personal experience whether you're on track or off track. In a few years, you've either got the breath or you haven't got the breath. You got the money or you haven't got the money. You've got the self-esteem or you haven't got the self-esteem. I mean, it doesn't take much from your personal experience. Schoff was swift to point out my personal experience. He said, let's learn from that. He He said, Mr. Rohn, you've been working 6 years. I said, yes, sir. He said, how are you doing? I said, not very well. He said, I suggest you not do that anymore. What a swift analysis of my current situation. He said, couldn't we find out what happened the last 6 years so that you can alter the course the next 6 years? That had never occurred to me. He said, I'm telling you, we can learn so much from the last 6 that we can make the next 6 years totally different than the last 6. And that's exactly what he did for me. That second 6 years, my life so swiftly changed. It was absolutely incredible. At age 25, I was broke. At age 31, I was rich. And he said, Mr. Rohn, if you'll make these changes starting today, he said, the next 6 years of your life will be totally different than the last 6. I took him up on that. So now let me give you that promise. In case you have to leave early, here's the promise that changed my life for your notes. He said, if you will change, everything will change for you. If you will change, everything will change for you. Before I heard that promise, up until age 25, I used to go through the day with my fingers crossed, hoping things would change. Hoping my boss would change, hoping the company would change, hoping the weather would change, certainly hoping circumstances would change, hoping the wind would change, hoping the economy would change, something would change that would give me a better chance to have a better life. Then I found out that's not what needs to change. It's going to be like it's going to be. Politics are going to be like they're going to be. Unlevel playing field, it's going to be like it's going to be. Right? The races, the mix, it's all going to be like it's going to be. The difference is going to be you. But he said, if you will change, everything will change. But then he also gave me the warning. Here it is. If you don't change, nothing will change. And he said, the next 6 years of your life will be just like the last